Open relationships are very common in the gay community these days. And while I personally tend to be an advocate for gay men to embrace monogamy for a variety of reasons, I do think open relationships can work well for some people. But you do need to go into these kind of relationships clear-eyed if you want it to be successful. So in today's video, we're discussing 6 brutal truths gay men need to hear about open relationships. Number 1, jealousy doesn't disappear, it mutates. It's tempting to believe that if you're progressive or evolved enough, you won't feel jealousy. But here's the reality. Jealousy isn't about being close-minded. It's about being human. In open relationships, jealousy rarely vanishes. Instead, it shapeshifts, becoming less about possessiveness and more about comparison, insecurity, or fear of being emotionally replaced. Many gay men, especially those who grew up with shame or rejection, are already carrying attachment wounds. Openness can unintentionally trigger those wounds, surfacing deep fears of abandonment or inadequacy. If you're not doing the emotional work to understand where your jealousy comes from and how to metabolize it, it can create resentment, controlling behavior, or withdrawal. Jealousy needs to be normalized and processed, not suppressed or bypassed with intellectual detachment. Jealousy often reflects unmet attachment needs. Learning how to identify those needs and communicate them without shame is essential for open relationships to thrive. Number 2, communication must be relentlessly honest, and that's exhausting. Non-monogamy isn't a set it and forget it arrangement. It requires continuous emotional labor. You'll need to talk and re-talk about what counts as cheating, who you're seeing, and how you feel about it, sexual health boundaries, changing desires and vulnerabilities, what happens when someone breaks a rule, because it will happen. Many couples say, we communicate well, but open relationships force a higher level of emotional honesty. It's not just about what you're doing. It's about what you're feeling and whether that feeling is being suppressed out of fear of rocking the boat. Also, communication fatigue is real. It takes emotional stamina to have constant check-ins and stay attuned to 2 or more emotional landscapes. If either of you avoids confrontation, minimizes emotions, or uses sex as a distraction from real conversations, those habits will eventually erode your connection. Open relationships succeed when both partners have high emotional literacy and practice radical honesty, not just about sex, but about emotions, limits, and fears. Number 3, sex and intimacy aren't the same, but they get confused. One of the most common mistakes in open relationships is assuming that sexual freedom automatically leads to emotional satisfaction. It doesn't. You might have a full calendar of hookups and still feel emotionally starved. Why? Because sex and intimacy operate in different psychological spheres. For many gay men, especially those who came of age in a culture where sex was often more accessible than affection, it's easy to fall into the trap of using sexual encounters to chase validation, connection, or self-worth. But unless you're building true intimacy, vulnerability, emotional attunement, feeling seen, the sex can feel more hollow over time. Even worse, if one partner begins developing real feelings for another person, or even just better sex, it can stir up deep insecurity or competitiveness, especially if the emotional core of the primary relationship is weak or undernourished. Emotional intimacy is built through attunement, not access. Sex can enhance connection, but it doesn't substitute for it. A strong emotional foundation needs active investment. Number 4, rules aren't protections. They're negotiations of trust. Many couples in open relationships create long lists of rules to protect the primary relationship. Common ones include no sleepovers, no repeat hookups, don't tell me anything, or tell me everything, only when traveling, no kissing or cuddling. But here's the brutal truth. Rules don't prevent betrayal. Trust does. If your relationship isn't rooted in mutual respect, clarity, and emotional maturity, all the rules in the world can be manipulated, avoided, or broken. More importantly, rules can become a crutch to avoid deeper conversations about desire, fear, or emotional change. If one partner is following the rules but resenting them internally, that's still a relational wound. And if the rules are too rigid, they can breed passive aggression or secret keeping, which often feels more violating than breaking a rule outright. Healthy boundaries are co-created through emotional intimacy, not rigid control. Rules that aren't revisited and renegotiated regularly become emotional cages. Number 5, not all desire for openness comes from a healthy place. There are many legitimate and healthy reasons to explore non-monogamy: sexual freedom, adventure, growth, novelty, or resisting heteronormative models. But sometimes, the push towards openness stems from unconscious wounds: fear of emotional closeness, internalized shame around commitment, boredom as a mask for avoidance, hypersexuality rooted in trauma, a way to distract from dissatisfaction in the relationship. Without honest introspection, openness can be a form of emotional outsourcing, using other people to meet needs we're too scared to ask our partner for. Or it becomes a form of escape from the discomfort of monogamy, without resolving the underlying issues. This isn't a moral judgment, it's a psychological caution. If you're using openness as a way to avoid doing emotional work, it will eventually surface in the form of drama, disconnection, or burnout. Intentions matter. If your desire for openness is grounded in fear or avoidance, it will cause more harm than growth. The why behind your choices must be conscious. Number 6, your relationship is only as secure as your self-esteem. This is the hardest truth of all. An open relationship magnifies who you are. If you have solid self-worth, you'll likely navigate openness with resilience, grace, and curiosity. But if your self-esteem is fragile, especially around your desirability, aging, or role in the relationship, openness can feel like a constant threat. Every new partner your boyfriend sees might feel like a silent referendum on your value. Is he hotter than me? Is he better in bed? Why does he want others? Am I not enough? And if you already struggle with body image, aging, or a sense of being disposable, which many gay men, especially over 30 or 40, quietly do, non-monogamy can be like pouring gasoline on self-doubt. Before opening your relationship, you need to do the internal work. Understand where your insecurities live and how to self-soothe. Otherwise, openness won't feel freeing. It'll feel like a slow, psychological erosion. Non-monogamy requires strong, intrapersonal boundaries, knowing how to hold your own value even when your partner is connecting with others. That's hard, but vital. Open relationships are not inherently dysfunctional or enlightened. They are simply one possible relational structure. But they demand more self-awareness, communication, and emotional labor than many gay men think. For a lot of us, especially if we are navigating trauma, identity formation, aging in a youth-obsessed culture, and complex attachment histories, openness can be beautiful or destructive depending on how consciously it's approached. Thanks for watching. If you're a gay man and these conversations speak to you, go ahead and hit subscribe. I post new videos every week about the things we go through: love, identity, healing, and everything in between. I'd love to have you be part of this community. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.